I'm Beth Mooney. I am the president of the Arizona chapter, and I am also the chapter support committee chairperson. So let me figure out how to advance my slides. So before we get started, I just wanted to share with you who the 2025 Chapter Support Committee members are. They have just been assigned, and we haven't even had our first meeting yet. We'll start that after the first of the year. I'm Beth Mooney. I am like I said, the president of the Arizona chapter. I'm the chairperson. Stephanie Lim is also a member of the Southern California chapter, and she is the co-chair of this committee. Gillian Smith is our board liaison, and she's a member of the Northeast Texas chapter. Denise I probably am saying her last name wrong, Como, is a member of the Georgia chapter. This is her first time on the committee. Terry Dorr is the Wisconsin chapter, and this is her first time on our committee. Yvette Salas is a member of the Florida chapter, and she is joining our committee this year. Karen Saunders is actually a returning member. Karen was a member of our committee, left us for a year, and then missed us so much she decided to come back and join us. She was a past chairperson of this committee. And then Janet Thorson is a member of the Northwest chapter, and this is her first year. And then Sharon Maley is a returning member of our committee, and she's a member of the Central Ohio chapter. So each one of us will become a liaison to one of your chapters. I have done those assignments, but I haven't told the members, so I didn't want to share it on the screen today. But I'll be informing them of their chapter assignments, and they'll be reaching out to your chapter leaders. So, a little bit about the scorecard. Hopefully, you all have seen the scorecard. If you are new in your chapter leadership position, you may not have seen it. I think Anastasia is putting it in the chat so that you can refer to the scorecard during our presentations. But the scorecard is divided into two sections. The first is looking at local chapter activities, which include membership recruitment and retention, onboarding of your members, speaking engagements, and then community service, fundraising, communication, and expanding your chapter community. And then the second section is educational activities, which includes participation in our ARN National Conference, also chapter educational opportunities. And then there's a section for advocacy. So we have two of our three winners that are here to speak today to us. They were our chapter award winners for 2024, and our large chapter is was Florida, and the president is Ann Wilson. So I think Ann is going to be our primary speaker, but I think she's going to pull in some of her chapter support people. And then the medium chapter winner was our Virginia chapter, and Karen Saunders is a director on that chapter, and she is going to share how they utilize the scorecard also. And so we're going to have both of them present, and then once they finish presenting, then we'll take questions. So either put your questions in the chat. Stephanie Lim is going to be monitoring that, or you can wait till the end and we will have them answer questions then. So, Anne, I was going to let you kick it off.
Okay, great. Well, good afternoon. Nice to see everybody today. Yes, I'm Ann Wilson. I am currently the president of our Florida chapter, which is a one of the large chapters, I guess, through ARN. Obviously, we have a large geographic area and a large number of members, several of which are here with me today. Some of our leadership, Kathy Zobzak, our most recent past president, really has done a lot of work utilizing the scorecard. And I've learned a lot from her with the scorecard and how to use it, as you said, to kind of shape some of our activities. Several of our other board members, Yvette, Annabelle, Anne Marie, I think are on with us. So they may chime in with some tidbits that I've left out. I think one thing for the scorecard, I will say that is nice is that this year I feel like we've gotten it maybe sooner than we have in some other years. So really, it is nice to be able to look at it now and have the time to kind of help um, shape your activities. The other thing that hit me kind of the first time that I was introduced to the scorecard is you'll probably find that you and your members are engaged in some of these activities already, but you didn't necessarily know that they were going to be on the scorecard kind of thing. So, again, getting it early really helps you see that and help to see things that thought, oh, well, maybe I don't need to talk to so many colleges of nursing, but then you see that that's on the scorecard, so you may want to, put some effort into continuing that. But that's how we utilize it. As soon as it comes out, you try to look at it, look at the criteria, and really use it to help shape your activities. The goals there clearly are supporting ARN strategic goals, which align with our chapter goals. A lot of them we've been doing for many years, at least in our chapter. So we continue to do that. Um, if we want to just kind of go through some of the things on the scorecard, um, social events, so having some social events to help recruit new members and new board members. We have had a phenomenal nominations chair, the most recently, who's done really a lot of work in that, helping to recruit and engage our chapter members, bring in new chapter members, and certainly get them to um, become part of the board and join our leadership group, even in other ways. So having that to recruit new members, and then having a mentorship program, if you will, or ideas of how to mentor those new members too, as something from the that we want to plan for our group. Um, Being involved at the national level as well, so getting some of our chapter members and board members to be involved at the national level. Um, as Beth just introduced, one of ours, and I think from Virginia too, as part of the chapter support committee. So, those kinds of that involvement, as well as presenting at ARN, those are all things that we look at. Um, Scholarship awards, doing those things, nominating our members for awards. So if you nominate one of your chapter members for a role award from ARN, so that's something to think about early on too, if you have members that you would like to nominate for those things. Again, speaking engagements to promote ARN and staff meetings, colleges, whatnot. That's something. So we also, not only does the board, look at this and do this, we put it out to our members, right? Because sometimes they're doing those things and maybe you don't necessarily know about it. They don't realize that it's something that they should be, reporting, if you will, to you to add to the scorecard. So having that open communication, which Kathy always sent out to all of our members, to let us know these are some things. If you're doing these, let us know about that so that we can um, include that. The same for community service and those kinds of activities. A lot of members are doing those kinds of things. I know from the first time that I really got involved with the scorecard, that was something that kind of hit me that I thought we could perhaps be doing more of. So we have incorporated some of those activities with our chapter now, doing some more community service type of activities. Um, Making a donation to RNF, perhaps partnering with other organizations as well. So whether that's on in a CE offering or other ways, but to partner with other organizations. certainly with communication, which we have recently, I don't know if it was this year or last year, we updated our website, but having some of that active social media type presence, a website, a chapter newsletter. We no longer do physical mail, but certainly we do electronic, right? That's at least for our membership. That's kind of where, we're trying to meet them where they're at, and that's where they're at is with electronic. Also for our educational activities, which we have always, again, Kathy kind of helps spearhead that, but being able to offer contact hours. I know different states have different regulations and whatnot and rules around that. But here for Florida, so all of our chapter CE presentations are approved from both the Florida and Georgia Board of Nursing. So that helps us reach a wider audience. Post COVID, right, in the era of Zoom and whatnot meetings, I think it helps us reach potentially a larger audience as well, being able to draw people in. So we typically have a monthly CE offering that we put out. Um, so that's something else that gets put onto the scorecard. Meetings with other chapters, which we have done as well. That's something that maybe you hadn't thought about or no. Again, with Zoom, it makes it maybe a little bit more convenient or easy to do to reach out. Um, the chapter board attending the leader event at the conference, which I have for the last couple of years, which was very nice. And it is nice to kind of network that way. So being aware that that's something that they will be offering and be at the national conference to do. And then our chapter in particular, we have always had a annual in-person conference, which we continue to do. Obviously, there are a couple of years where we weren't able to do in person, and so luckily we had some talented people that could switch us quickly to be able to do it virtual. And now we're actually trying to keep doing it as a hybrid. So we have it in person as well as virtual to draw in as many as we can and putting that full day conference together. I will also say for our membership, we have typically had a lot of case managers as part of our membership. And so Kathy goes kind of above and beyond to get our conferences and whatnot. We recently did a CRN review course to get those approved for CCM hours to help, make it appealing potentially to some of our case manager members and even non-members, but people who want to come and attend to that need those CCM contact hours. So that's kind of where we're at. Again, how we use the scorecard, like you said, to kind of organize and maybe structure some of your events. And again, if you read through it, you may see something that you didn't realize was something that could be on the scorecard, and you may have members that are already engaged in some of those activities. And if not, you can use that to help engage them more into other activities. That's it for us in Florida.
I definitely agree. I do think that getting the scorecard early did help. It helped the Virginia chapter to kind of have a guideline on what we were doing. At every meeting, we would bring it up, we would review it. It kind of helped us to plan what we were going to do. Of course, our main goal was to increase membership and fellowship, and we certainly did one of the educational events with Florida and have learned a lot from Florida. Our chapter president, I believe, has talked to Florida a couple times. So it did help us to plan for the chapter. It gave us resources. There were things that we would not have thought about the first year. we looked at it too late and we were like, oh, that was easy. We could have easily have done that, right? So it did help to guide us. I do also think it sparked us to get people to join ARN committees. The committees, I feel, is what gave us a lot of information and a lot of involvement. When I was in chapter support, I felt like I heard a lot. There was a lot to pass on to my chapter. And then since then, my goal every year is to get somebody on a committee. So we got somebody on the policy committee. This year, we're going to get somebody on the engagement committee. So it has helped. We're hoping that the person on the engagement committee is going to help our chapter. So knowing it and seeing it on the thing kind of sparked us to, oh, these are easy points. If we can get somebody on there and get involved, and in the long run, it's going to help us. And then the donation, we never would have thought about the donation until we read that thing and we're like, we can do this. This is an easy one. The scholarship one, we were sparked by that too. Our local chapter sends people, and a couple of years ago, we had somebody get a scholarship from ARN. Never would have thought about it if we weren't looking at the scorecard. So we do try to look at the scorecard at every meeting. And then, it also helps us to discuss the conferences coming. What posters are we thinking about? What can we do? And then also to talk to the group that, I'm not a public speaker. I cannot get up in front of a group, but I can sit at a round table and talk all day, right? I'm talking to 7 people. So that we wouldn't have thought about if we had not been looking at the scorecard. So I do think it's very good to look at every meeting. And I never would have thought about sending it to the members, but I did write that down. So you're right. There are a lot of things that the members are doing that we probably don't know about. So the scorecard has been very helpful. It helped us.
Yeah, I agree. And like you said, I mean, you want to do all of those things anyway. Like you said, we want to get new members, we want to get engaged, we want to do community service, but seeing it there somehow helps you get organized and guide it and maybe bring it to the forefront as more of a priority and that kind of thing. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we
did a food
said
drive.
to ourselves, we have to do one thing on this month. Let's pick one.
Yeah, I like your idea of reviewing it at each meeting as well. It's kind of a nice way to, know that you're keeping on track and not having to, yeah.
And could I add something?
Oh, of course.
Florida has always encouraged education, continuing education, and we have a broad pool of different types of nurses, hospital executive floor nurses, case managers, insurance nurses, international and local rehab providers. So we offer the ability with our monthly meetings for these people to learn how to present on a topic important to them or their group, and we give the continuing education credits for it. And by grooming these members with small presentations, they grow, and we are able to always send 2 or 3 at least to the national conference because their topics are good. And they get the experience by presenting with our monthly Zoom members, Zoom meetings. And it's easy for us to get the credentials through Florida and Georgia. But also by having this multiple group of members, we get multiple group of sponsors from different things. So we always have vendors at our conference, sponsors on our website. So we are able to provide our monthly meetings for free. And we do not charge for most of them. We charge a small amount for our annual conference because we have this support. Plus, you also learn a lot from these vendors when they do their presentations. I didn't know they had that. I didn't know that was a product. So we've really pushed education here in Florida. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you, Kevin.
Anybody out there have any questions?
Well, I just wanted to mention too, I think from the scorecard, we were able to incorporate community service at our main meetings. Last year, we did a food drive for veterans, and we were able to drop that off at a veteran shelter. And this year, we're going to do the same thing. And I don't think if it was on the scorecard, we would have missed that opportunity. Like we just wouldn't have thought about it. And it was so easy. Like really, I'm driving there anyway. Why not just stop along the way and drop these items off? And this year, I think we're doing like underwear and t-shirts and stuff. And we make sure that it's rehab related by making sure it's for veterans or for a group that has disability. In the future, maybe we'll try to choose like, I know down here in Miami, we have a children's service that's rehab related. It's called Patches, and they take care of children, and the nurses work for almost nothing just to be able to have the parents be able to go to work. They need to provide that service to them, and they're vented kids that have a lot of therapy needs. So being able to provide toys or something for them. So it gets us thinking about future events. And I think we would have missed that completely if it wasn't for the scorecard.
This is Patty Higgins. Thanks a lot, you guys. I mean, these are all great ideas. And of course, California is a huge state, and now we technically just have two chapters, Northern and Southern. So we have a big challenge on our hands. And probably Florida, we were your biggest competitor because we really racked up the points for the scorecard this past year. And we hope to get it again as a large chapter membership. But our big innovation right now is trying to really reach out to our chapter members, whether it's through the newsletter or we have a great website through Nursing Network, and we can do all sorts of communication there. And I would really love it if that kind of communication could be counted on the scorecard. And then also the other thing that we have recently subscribed to is a group texting service that just goes out to chapter members who allow us and opt in to allow us to do it. So it's not going to be all the chapter members, but quite a few of them. So we've just started to entertain that, and we would like that to be something that could be included as something that we do for engagement. So something for everybody to consider. And I know Stephanie is probably going to bring it forward since she is on my chapter. So okay, that's what I wanted to say for now. Thank you.
And Patricia, I did answer you in the chat. I think that's a very valid point. So I think I'll take that back to the committee. I think definitely any form of communication we really need to look at.
Thank you.
Somebody wanted to know what the cost of that text service is. Do you know, Patricia?
Yeah, and Stephanie can chime in too. So it depends. They have a couple different plans where you want to have more of a continuous type service, or you just want to have it kind of ad hoc. So you're just going to use it maybe before, like say we do our CRN review, or we do our annual conference, or we have an event coming up on Saturday. So we did put one out this week to see if we can get any more people. So we're doing it kind of like that. Is that correct, Stephanie? We're just kind of paying as we go.
Yeah, because we find that the monthly membership or the yearly fee is not worth is not worth it. And we tend to do the bulk of our reminders during around events, like our educational events. So yeah.
And it's
So
based on the
Stephanie-
number of people, the number of texts you're going to be sending out. And I want to say, is it $40? What is it? Steph, do you
Something
remember?
around there. I know it was, I'd have to find the pricing, but if anyone wants that information, we can certainly send you like the quotes that we got.
I was going to say, I wonder, Stephanie, if we could put it on the member circle under the chapter leader section.
Sure, yeah.
It's the younger
We'd be happy
folks.
to share.
The younger members, that is how they're getting their information, through texting. They're not reading
Yeah.
their emails, or it's going to junk. And then, I send things out constantly through the website, and I don't always get responses. So it's a different world.
Yeah.
What was the name of it again?
Yeah, I like that too.
So Yvette maybe Stephanie can try to look it up. We looked at
Yeah,
three
I can
different
try
types of
to.
texting services. And it's escaping me which one it was because I'm not in charge of that on the board. I'm in charge of the website. So
Yeah, we can send all the
yes.
options, yeah, that we were looking into, so that, everyone can find what's best for them, because each one has different features and
I'll look it up while we're
yeah,
talking.
I
Yeah.
can definitely.
I do think it's important. I forget which one of you said it, but that you use the scorecard at your monthly meetings, and really refer back to it because I think that's how it stays on the forefront of it. And so, we actually, in my chapter, one of our directors took over the assignment of that. So they are responsible for the scorecard, and so they track everything on it. And talk about it at each chapter meetings. I think that's important.
So when you say chapter meeting, Beth, are you talking about the board meetings or is this something that you offer to your members? Because you have a huge state too, and you're reaching out to multiple, and plus it sounds like you're helping Georgia. So how are you doing it? I mean, how often does the board meet and how often do members meet? Because we offer a annual member conference business meeting, but our members are always invited to our board meetings, but it's usually the board members, and there's
Right,
12 of them.
right.
So
We do a quarterly CE webinar. And so that's open to everyone. And then we usually have starting in January, we have a board meeting multiple times a month because we're planning our annual conference also. We have our annual conference in the spring. So when we're not, once that's done, then we usually meet maybe every other month, just through a WebEx.
We discussed it anytime we met, whether it was the board or whether it was a CE.
Yeah. I mean, I think the fact of like reaching out to your members, I never even thought about that. It's the board that we always like took on the brunt of that, right? So that was a great suggestion.
There's a question from Donna in the chat that about feeling like Nursing Network is seldom viewed. How can we increase the viewing and responses?
I know it's a constant challenge, and I have, of course, because they're not members per se. If those of you who are involved with Nursing Network, any other organizations, like I am for being a CNS, the memberships with the state, where the membership here is with the national organization. So they become followers. But we can designate them as members. So that helps a little bit. And I can reach out to them individually, or I can reach out to them as that group. But you're right, it goes to their junk mail, no matter how much we try to communicate to those that are on the nursing network, to please check if it's in your junk mail. Please accept, future mailings, but still, I'm not sure how, the percentage per se that really do see it. I do agree. And I've talked to the nursing network people about this. So even though it's a great service, and I just absolutely love the website there. So I don't know what the easy answer is there, but it's a challenge.
Yeah, we have found that too. Like you said, sometimes some of our, communications will go into people's junk mail, or if they've listed potentially a work email address as well. There's a lot more firewalls and whatnot there, particularly. So that is a challenge. So the texting service idea, I really like that, and that's something maybe to look into, because you're right, that's where a lot of people are getting their information. So that
And
may be.
unfortunately, it gives so when an email goes through from Nursing Network, if those of you who are involved with Nursing Network, there's a little caveat at the very end that says, if you wish to not receive any of these anymore, unsubscribe. So you wonder how many have unsubscribed if they don't want to get those. Not that I send them out very often, but I try to send something out on a monthly basis if I can. Just reminders about upcoming, because we're a very active chapter. So that was the other thing I had brought up to the board too. Those are communications to our members too. And so why couldn't those kind of things count on the scorecard? So that was the other thing I had mentioned. And I know Stephanie was going to take it forward too.
Yeah, and if there's other things that people are on the call now and think that we should add to the scorecard, certainly we're open to those suggestions. I have another question. Do either one of you guys do anything with the advocacy or with, legislation and that kind of thing?
Fortunately, we don't. That is one thing, one section of it that we look at and go, what can we do?
Mm-hmm.
So we have, I mean, in part, I think we probably got Yvette, she was on the call, was on the national advocacy. So she did some training for us, got us involved, and we actually just had the lobbyist, right, came and did a CE for us on advocacy and how we get involved in stuff. So there are some opportunities, to do that. So we have been, yes, we just had that a couple of weeks ago, do a CE presentation for us.
Yeah.
So
Right. Jeremy Scott said he would come and speak to the rest of the chapters, which I brought up to our board too. And we would love for him and Michaela, by the way, and I loved that webinar and wish more people could have heard it. But yeah, we're definitely lacking in that arena as well out here in California. And I think if he could repeat it for several of us, or maybe that's a chapter webinar, Anastasia, that we could, do nationwide. I don't know. That was great.
Yeah,
I-
definitely.
yeah,
That's definitely something the policy committee is trying to do. They're trying to make like little vignettes to try to teach the different chapters, like that they could go to the website, to the ARN website, read along, see what the issues are, learn how to advocate and learn how to talk to your leaders. And then of course the action alerts. So I think one of the good things about having Jeremy or Michaela talk to the chapters is that they'll demonstrate how to do the action alerts that are right on the ARN website. And if you're not always going to the website, but you're really involved in your chapter, sometimes you can miss that quick opportunity. And they have it linked up very nicely that it goes right to your, once you put in your zip code, it'll go right to your leader or your senator or congressman, whatever the agenda item is. And then usually something that I think we can do in Florida to improve too is that each state has their own Capitol Hill Day. So instead of going to Washington, you're going to the Capitol in your state. And I think that might be something that I might be able to bring to the chapter support committee from policy, is that maybe we can find out what the different states' Hill Days are and give them a little guidance so that we can incorporate that part into the chapter support committee. So that's always an idea. And it's nice to get with a group of people. You can rent a bus or a small van, drive up together, get the legislators, and give a good discussion about.
So hi guys, it's Wendy Holler. Can you hear me?
Yes, hi Wendy.
Hey, hi. So Virginia, you should be joining us. The Greater Philadelphia chapter every year goes to Capitol Hill for Brain Injury Day. And we advocate for patients and families who've been affected by brain injury. So they're getting ready to refund all of the health policy that supports our patients and families. And it's always a great day. So that's something that we routinely do every year.
Know when it is next?
They haven't posted it yet. I keep checking. It has not yet been posted, but it's always in March. March is like Brain Injury Awareness Month.
Mm-hmm.
And our chapter has a platinum sponsor. And we allow our platinum sponsor to select the charitable giving organization that we focus on. And our charitable giving supports the Brain Injury Association of Pennsylvania. And so we go and advocate on behalf of ourselves and our Brain Injury Association and it's always a great day.
Thank you.
How would you guys, so like Florida, you're in the large chapter, so you have 100+ members, and then Virginia, you're in the medium chapter. How many members would you each say really do participate in making sure that these things happen?
For
Wow.
Virginia, it's a small number. It's the board and maybe 2 or 3 other people.
Yeah.
So you were
I-
able to be a winner of the award with maybe what, 10 people actively participating?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, okay,
And less at times, yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
And
I
you-
would say it's so our leadership group maybe is a little bit bigger with our board and our different committee uh, that we have and whatnot. But yes, there's probably a core group of members that are really driving a lot of this. Although, like I said, reaching out to others, we certainly have gotten um, some input from some of the members that aren't necessarily part of the leadership group, if you will. So that's been nice. It's also kind of a way to start, like you said, getting them engaged, maybe seeing who's, um, able and willing to become part of the leadership group as we're, trying always to look at that succession planning. We're having some turnover from some of our longtime leadership positions and whatnot. But yes, I think for a lot of it, it is a core group of relatively small numbers compared to our overall membership numbers. Certainly, they are helping us by attending our events, right? I mean, but as far as actually coordinating the event, putting on the event, that certainly is a smaller group that's working on that.
Now,
And we
Yvette,
try to get a lot that were on our list that were prospective. We spent a lot of time trying to get them to join and get involved by calling, leaving messages, email, because we have a good 20 or 30 people that are national but not local. So we've been trying to get them into the local because we feel like that's where we're going to do more conferences and do more social events.
Mhm.
yeah. So Yvette, I had another question. You talked about doing a fundraiser, I think with like a clothing drive or something like that. So when you do something like that and you've only got 10 people participating, how do you get enough to have in that fundraiser?
Well, we do that at our annual conference, so where we're getting the bulk of the people, right?
Okay.
So that it's meaningful. And we've talked about doing different walks, but because our state is so wide, it's really hard to kind of put that together. But we thought maybe if we were going to join the Alzheimer's walk and each group did it in their county, they would just take like a group picture, like a selfie, and like put that together and compile it for our proof. But we haven't gotten there yet. But that's another idea too, especially like California. You guys are so big, but if each little rehab hospital did something with 1 or 2 people and then took that selfie, you're gaining the whole state's involvement, really. It might be on separate days, like the cancer walk might be on October 1st or October 15th in another county, but overall, you can kind of pull something like that off. It's a little bit more challenging in larger states.
So
but
Yvette, you're
definitely doable.
exactly right. And we've been trying to like wrap our arms around how we're going to do this because we just, became Southern California chapter this past year. And we're trying to reach out to all our other members that are like in San Diego and Riverside, San Bernardino. These are huge counties within the state. And so we've entertained looking at having like a regional collaborative that they could do things in their neck of the woods. but it still would count for our chapter, and the chapter, of course, is under the umbrella of the national. So we're just really starting to look at all the possibilities, the opportunities to really reach out to them, many of them who haven't had a chapter in years. So I appreciate what you just said. So I know our board is looking at it.
Yeah. It's good to have young blood too, because they're better with that technology. And that's a good way of getting them in and nominating. I always say that to the younger folks when we have like a meet and greet. We do that at conference, which is another way I think my nominations was able to grow, serving in that. I really used those meet and greets that we would host at the different cities where the annual conference was, and all the Florida people would come and meet up because we would send like an email out to them who were attendants. And it's a little pricey. You got to spend your money on it, but I think it had a good turnover for us. And so I would individually go to all their little tables and be like, hey, are you good with your phone? I see you on your phone, and it looks like you're enjoying your Instagram. We could use that in our chapter. Is that a skill that you like? Are you good at that? And then so by doing that little chit chatting and talking and trying to pull in what people seem to like, you find where people will be very well suited to fill roles in your chapter. And it wasn't all just on leadership, right? Because we only have so much of that core leadership committee. That's only how many seats, but getting them to volunteer for conference. And so now I think we have some more speakers. We have more people offering to assist. I've actually had more people volunteering than I had roles to fill. So that was exciting.
That's awesome.
And then I my friend here, Ashley, I volunteer her for everything. She's voluntold, as Mary Ellen Hatch used to say. I put her wherever Ashley, I signed you up for something. Oh, good Lord, what now? She doesn't get a say in it. And sometimes that's okay, because then once they realize that they like it, right? But sometimes being that fear of getting involved in something, oh, it's going to be too much, I'm not going to enjoy it, or it's too much work. But you make it fun, right? And I think when you make this volunteer work fun, it's more enjoyable. More people are apt to do it.
We're trying to reach out to all the former Northern California chapters, and by contacting directors or managers on the rehab units. And again, just a really slow response. And all we are asking is, do you have people who need their CRRNs or who want CEUs as we start planning? But those former chapters, South Bay chapter, just kind of, when it folded, disappeared. And trying to get the contacts has been really difficult. So any thoughts on that would be wonderful as well.
I think reaching out to, like you said, to CNOs and to the different rehabs. One of the things that I started doing here at my rehab was anytime somebody was interested in taking the CRRN, I made them join the ARN. So I was able to get more members. Now, maybe after the 2 years expired, did some of them not join back? The good high possibility that I've lost some that way, that they just weren't interested. But the price of taking the CRRN test and joining membership is almost the same as just taking the test without membership, right? So I think you actually save $10 if you join. So it was an easy win to win over the CEOs or your CFOs, whoever's in charge of your budget, to get membership for anybody that's taking a test. And then who knows, by that option, you have somebody that is taking the CRN, and then they have that opportunity to become engaged. So I think that's really important. I said, don't sign up for the test until I sit with you so I can help you. And then I have them sign up, and I have them put my name in as the mentor or the person, so we get credit for it as a chapter as well, for bringing in new membership. But that's definitely one way. Like you said, the CRRNs, Donna, is really the way to get them members. And then letting them know that it's not too much to, like, one day a month. Like, even if they're at home and you're having your evening meeting, you could be drinking your wine and on the meeting and enjoying, right? So I try to make it appealing to